Du hast ein Zuhause, deine Lage könnte schlechter sein, dein Vater hat sein Bestes getan. Harry wollte von Anfang an nicht in Whitechapel leben.
I'm sure your father did his best when he found this house. Times are tough for everyone, young man.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Kann ich verstehen, wenn man von den Lebenden mehr Angst hat.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Ist natürlich, ja. Ist ein Zwiespalt, aber
Would it ease tensions with your father if he got an honest job? Because he tried, you know.
I can't say. I'd be glad if he dropped his thuggish activities, but I'm not sure it would be enough.
Why is that?
Sometimes I suspect it's me, Dr. Reed. Or it's this life. It's like I can't find my place.
Ich glaube, das Problem haben viele Leute, dass sie nicht wissen, wohin mit sich in ihrem Leben.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Die Lösung einer jeder Depression. Geh einfach raus.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
Jetzt müssen wir nur noch wieder rausgehen und dann müssen wir warten, bis die den Hinweis droppen.
You again? What do you want this time?
Nett.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Ist es definitiv. Dadurch, dass Jonathan Reed so groß ist, hast du immer das Gefühl, du guckst auf die herab irgendwie.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Wow, der will ja gleich den Kopf abreißen.
Why do you keep on working for the gang, Joe? You know it doesn't suit you.
It's true, I hate this job. And I know I made some bad choices, but I'm a wet boot boy now. People won't forget it.
You could leave tomorrow. Start another life in another town.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. We are poor. My son's weak, and there's no way he'll endure another disappointment.
Ganz genau, Chat. Bloody little mortals.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Mal kurz gucken. Die zwei hängen zusammen. Dann haben wir nur einen Hinweis. Ah nee, das ist Palmer. Oh, ich wechsle die immer. Okay.
Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid. Fancy bye.
You never... What do you know of Harry Peterson? The boy seems so fragile. Not like his father at all.
Harry's a good boy, but he spends most of his time complaining. He's had it tough, all right, but he needs to grow a pair.
What troubles him exactly?
Well, despite being his father's son, almost everything, I think. He never wanted to come to Whitechapel in the first place. Hates this place more than most of us.
Okay.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
Zu früher Alarm? Ja. Na gut. Ne. Au. Oh, jetzt hat. Schnell. Wenigstens funktioniert das schon mal. Aber ich habe euch ja schon vorgewarnt. Zur Not müssen wir an den Stellen warten, bis es endlich passiert.
So you only hurt people because you care about me? Is that it?
Don't be such a brat. I do what I must to provide us with food and medicine, that's all.
Mum would never have let you bully an old friend like Mr. Lewis. Shame on you.
Harry, I'm your father and I love you. But don't you ever speak to me like that again.
What? You're gonna beat me too?
Jesus. Give me patience.
Nun, dachte ich auch, aber... Okay, wir haben die Hinweise und der Hinweis fehlt uns noch. Haben wir eigentlich den ihren Auftrag? Wollte ich gerade mal wissen. Vielversprechender Nachwuchs. Plunder und mehr. Finde das Paket von Barrett Lewis und dann seid ihr alle tot. I swear, ihr seid alle tot. Obwohl, die haben 4 und 3. Wir haben nur 1. Verdammt.
They must be too busy to answer.
Ja, they are really, really busy. Business, genau. Mhm.
You again? What do you want this time?
Das stimmt, das sind schon sehr, sehr viele Erfahrungspunkte. Eigentlich müssten wir rasten, aber...
Why is your relationship with your son so difficult?
Harry and I are so different. Sometimes I wonder if he's my own blood. Seems he's ashamed to be my son.
Why not change that then? If you used your strength to do good, perhaps Harry wouldn't feel that way about you.
How dare you tell me what I should or shouldn't do with my boy? Who the fuck are you to interfere like that?
I mean no harm to your family. But if you want my advice, this is no place to raise a child.
No matter where we live, Harry will always be sick and frail. At least here, I'm respected. And no one will ever dare touch him.
Na gut.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson. Good.
Das unterbrechen wir, weil das haben wir ja schon
dreams
1000-mal
are
gehört.
so... I'm not...
I'm not bothered. I'm only sad.
You and your father have a difficult relationship, Harry. Tell me, did he ever hurt you?
No, never. My father can be brutal and rude, violent even. But he never touched an hair on my head.
What is going on between you two then?
It's his job, if you can call it a job. He bullies people. Men and women we know, like poor Mr. Lewis. It's just not right.
Irgendwie auch schwierig zu akzeptieren.
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Officer?
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed. Or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
I'm sure you could have found another job, perhaps less lucrative. Maybe you should try again.
And when exactly was the last time you looked for a job? Or worried about the rent, or what, or when you were going to eat?
Ja, sie schaut sehr grimmig aus und ihr Mund sieht auch mit Herpes übersät aus, also meiner Meinung.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Anything you can tell me about her would be helpful.
I don't know her, but I know her name is Dorothea Crăciunescu. She came from Romania like me and many others.
You seem to respect her.
Dorothea helps the sick people of Whitechapel. Everyone should respect that.
Das ist natürlich richtig.
Goodbye, miss. Take care of yourself as best you can.
As best as you can. Clayton Darby. Warte mal, da. Gut, die geht hoch.
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reed, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Du bist verlorener, als ich zuerst dachte. Ja, okay.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought.
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Okay.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Cleansing Fire. Warte mal, was hat der für eine Stufe? 5, Chat. 5 hat er. Gut.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Okay, jetzt ist gerade mein Streamlabs hat sich ein bisschen aufgehängt, aber es geht wieder, Chat. So, was brauchen wir mal? Die Wissenschaft ist unsere einzige Hoffnung. Wir leben im 20. Jahrhundert.
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad. And dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool.
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Ganz genau, Streamlabs machen nicht schlapp, nicht jetzt.
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I send him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
Okay.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Also ich glaube, du solltest mal ein bisschen Angst haben mit den Ansichten.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Okay.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
Diese bösen Frauen und ihre düsteren Verlangen.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her country. That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
Okay.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Ja, ja, die bösen Frauen. Ah, da ist doch Darby.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed,
Weiß ich, der will's
famous
bald.
surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
Ich muss nur kurz... Wo ist er denn? Clayton Darby. Wo ist er denn? Dann könnt ihr diese... Gab es... Und gibt so das... Ah ne, das ist Shaoshun. Warte mal. Wie viele Hinweise könnte er uns geben? 3.
It's a disgrace. People are left to die alone. No one is properly informed of the risks.
These are bad times indeed. So much for the glorious British Empire.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
That science is unable to explain the facts doesn't mean there is no rational explanation.
I confess, I share your point of view, Doctor.
Yay!
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
Ja, hat sich auch geändert. Wir Frauen dürfen heute wählen, ja?
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm afraid one of the nurses from the Pembroke Hospital may be involved with unsavory activities.
Ah, could it be Dorothy Crane?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious. Never goes out. Doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
Okay.
He has no relatives at all?
No. Except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
Aha.
He never goes out.
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Okay.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Der Brief wird vielleicht noch nützlich für uns sein. Gehen wir erstmal zu Nethercott. Ah, erwischt. Nee, da kann ich nichts aufmachen. Hätte ja sein können. Echo, Echo, Echo. So, Mr. Nethercott, wo sind Sie? Da ist er doch.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions.
Please be my guest. Although I may not be the best informant regarding this part of town, my words speak about that which the eyes cannot see.
Really? Are you an artist of some kind?
I'm a poet, sir. Richard Nethercott, at your service.
May I ask what you're doing at this hour of night, sir? Do you live here?
Not at all. I'm just enjoying the pleasure of a quiet walk. Though night talks are always preferable, if you ask me. Especially with strangers.
Okay. Nachts mit fremden Leuten reden ist immer anregend? Naja,
But are you not afraid of the epidemic?
Oh, why should I? I see some equity in the Spanish flu. No flesh should be saved, say the scriptures. Good or evil, rich or poor, all are equal in the eyes of the flu.
Ja, stimmt schon.
If you say so. But as a physician in a time of epidemic, I must caution you to avoid unnecessary exposure, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. But we both know the seeker of truth has to go boldly where the weak dare not.
What are your thoughts on the terrible situation in this city?
Terrible, you say? No. Of course, the death of so many innocents is a tragedy. But the scourge has not been all bad for the city. Oh, no, sir.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember London before the flu? Noisy, cacophonic, quiet nowhere to be found. And now, listen to this oddly peaceful silence.
Okay, Nethercott, da müssen wir mal kurz gucken. Richard Nethercott, eine ziemlich einzigartige Sichtweise. Mal eine einzigartige Sichtweise.
Yes. The enjoyable silence of the grave. You have a unique perspective on the situation, I must admit.
Most people fail to understand my perspective. I don't blame them. But how could I call myself a poet if I veiled my feelings?
Hallo Stam und vielen Dank, ja. Kann man gut gebrauchen, sowas.
Are you aware that your life could be in danger in this part of town?
But this is where I must be to feel the real beat of the city. I had to come, see it for myself, alone.
I understand your need for solitude, but it's not safe around here.
I don't care. I don't have many friends, Doctor, and my family despises me.
If some misfortune came upon you, who would be here to help you?
Well, you for a start, my dear Doctor.
Okay.
Tell me, Mr. Nethercott, why seek inspiration in Whitechapel?
The place is not beautiful per se, but how to explain it? Stirring and challenging.
Do you not think it a little morbid?
On the contrary, sir. Whitechapel is full of life, full of beauty. Just like my dear muse, the wonderful Camellia.
What can you tell me about Camellia?
Not much. And that's the beauty of it. She can't speak, you know. She's a locked mystery who exhales kindness and sweetness.
Meine Meinung zu dem Spiel ist, dass das Spiel richtig schön ist, auch von den Geschichten und von der Tiefe her und von den Möglichkeiten, die es hat. Ich finde, Vampyr ist das